So continuing with my Oscar coverage for 2019, I'm going to be talking about The Favorite. This movie is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Another movie he directed you might recognize is The Lobster from 2015. So anyway, this movie, The Favorite, stars Emma Stone as Abigail Masham. She's pretty much down on her luck. Her dad has a serious gambling problem and he lost everything, including her, in a card game to some German guy. So she lost her family has lost their whole title. They've lost their name. They're standing in a kingdom. So yeah, she's pretty much at the bottom of the bottom. This movie also stars Rachel Weisz. She is Lady Sarah Churchill. She is like the #1 assistant, right-hand lady, if you will, of the Queen. So she pretty much is running everything around the kingdom at the time. This movie also stars Olivia Colman as Queen Anne of Great Britain. She's also nominated for an Oscar with this movie for her work in here. So the story of this movie is all about the drama. It's like the hip-hop housewives of Great Britain going on up in there. At the time this movie starts out, we have a war going on between Great Britain and France. Queen Anne, she's ill, real indecisive. She doesn't know what to do. So Lady Sarah is stepping in. She's making military decisions and decisions about taxes and everything. She's running the whole kingdom. And people in the parliament don't like it, but ain't nothing they can do because they're not the queen. So anyway, at this time, Abigail Masham shows up and she's just looking to get her foot in the door. She's looking for employment any way she can get it. It just so happens Lady Sarah is like a distant cousin of hers and she knows that she's down on her luck and what happened with her dad. So she gives her a job at the castle, just scrubbing and cleaning, doing very menial tasks, nothing serious. Well, this is all Abigail wanted, just to get her foot in the door, because when opportunity presented itself, she jumped on it. The queen was in bed, sick as always, dealing with some rashes on her feet. And Abigail, seeing this, ran to the forest and got some herbs, came back to the kingdom and rubbed those herbs on the queen's feet, healing the rashes. Now, see, this was a problem because you're not supposed to touch the queen. But then Lady Sarah stepped in and said, them herbs that you put on the queen's feet, well, she actually liked them and it healed the rashes. So instead of beating you and giving you a punishment, I'm going to promote you to the queen's bedchamber. Do you see what I mean? Abigail's plan is just coming right along. Now, while she was working in the queen's bedchamber, she pretty much was just kissing ass and sucking up and doing everything she could to gain the queen's trust and to turn the queen against Lady Sarah. And this started working. I mean, there were so many different situations of them going back and forth. One night after a party, Abigail is asleep in the queen's bedroom and she hears some noises and rumblings and all that going on downstairs. So she takes a look over the balcony and what does she see? She sees Queen Anne and Lady Sarah making love pretty much. So she sneaks her way out of the room. The next day, while Lady Sarah and Abigail are out quail shooting, Abigail tells Lady Sarah, well, I know your secret about what you and the queen have going on, but your secret is safe with me. And that's where you have that famous scene in the trailer where Lady Sarah pretends to shoot Abigail, but she doesn't put the pellets in the bullet. Just lets her know, hey, I can end your ass if I want to. I can call it an accident. So it was a pretty intense scene. If you ever watch the movie, you'll love that scene. So as things were getting really intense between Abigail and Lady Sarah around the kingdom, I mean, they were doing everything they could to win the queen's favor and turn the queen against the other one at the same time. Well, Abigail decides she wants to step up the game. She poisons Lady Sarah. So while Lady Sarah is out for a horse ride, she passes out and she's drugged by the horse for several miles, scratching up her face, scarring her, breaking bones. And then she wakes up a few days later in a brothel where they said, hey, we gave you all this medicine, so now you're going to have to work it off as a hooker. It was pretty messed up, but the queen had sent out some guards and they actually found her and they brought her back to the kingdom before anything happened. When Lady Sarah was back at the kingdom, she went straight to Abigail, smacked her in the face and said, you gotta get the hell out of here. Abigail went directly to the queen crying, and then the queen allowed her to stay. But that was pretty much the breaking point. Lady Sarah told the queen, I'll give you an ultimatum. It's either Abigail or me. And the queen said Abigail. But Abigail wasn't happy with this. She wasn't happy with just the decision of the queen choosing her. She wanted to frame Lady Sarah and make the queen hate her. So she cooked the books and did something to the inventory of the kingdom to make it look like Lady Sarah and her husband was stealing from the queen. And the queen bought it, hook, line, and sinker. She believed that Lady Sarah, the lady who she once trusted as her #1 right-hand lady to run the kingdom and make all these decisions for all these years, now she believed that that same lady was stealing from her. So she exiled her and her husband to leave England altogether and to never come back. But before Lady Sarah left, she told Abigail one thing very strong and powerful to me. She said, "Oh, you think you won? Because now I'm gonna be up out of here. I'm exiled. I'm gonna go to France. I'm gonna go anywhere I want to, the United States, anywhere I want to in the world. Lady Sarah and her husband are gonna go to." And they were wealthy. It wasn't like they was broke. They had a lot of money. So she's gonna leave and start a whole new life and be free. But now you're gonna be the queen's bitch from now on, forever, to deal with her attitude, her temperament, her indecisiveness, her physical abuse, all that. That's what you have in store for you. But you think you won right now because I'm exiled, but you'll see. We end the movie with Abigail on her knees, getting their hair pulled, rubbing the queen's feet with all these rashes on it. So yeah, this movie is actually really good. I'm not gonna lie. I give it like a 8, 9 out of 10. The cast was great. The directing was great. All 3 of the ladies are nominated for Oscars this year for either Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress. So that shows you the caliber of acting we have in this movie. I like the little twists and turns they intermingled the story with, the drama going on around a castle, and also the politics and the war and taxes. And, that gave the movie, to me, a sense of urgency and a lot of different things happening with the story at the same time. So I like when movies have different angles and storylines going on that all verge into the main story. I love that. Now, this movie had a $15 million budget, and when you watch it and you see what they're able to do costume-wise, set-wise, even the caliber of actors and actresses they had in this movie for $15 million, I think they did a damn good job. And that comes from directing, that comes from people in production knowing what the hell they're doing. So you don't need $150 million to make a great movie, and they just proved it with this. Now, all in all, I would say this movie, if you are not into like girl drama and things like that, then you probably won't like it, because that's pretty much what this movie is. It's like a reality show from the 1800s. That's all it is, a reality show. But I loved it, and I thought the acting was amazing, and it kept me into the movie the entire time. That's just my thoughts on this movie. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you get a chance, I highly recommend you check it out. You're gonna love it. But anyway, y'all, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. It's much appreciated. I'm chasing 1,000 subscribers. Other than that, I'll catch your ass out there in this universe. Peace.
If you do not go, I will start kicking you. And I will not stop.
My dear friend, how good to see you've returned from hell.
I'm sure you shall pass through it one day.